Hi, everyone. For those who doesn't know me yet, my name is Frank. I've worked for All Data now for a little bit over 5 years. Always been in the automotive industry. Started as a technician at a young age, well, when I finished school, and end up doing, shop management coaching through the years. I've met, like many coaches, and one of them is Kelly the coach. I've met Kelly about 10 years ago. And recently we were talking and I asked Kelly to do, like short videos on shop management. And Kelly had the idea to do, like little 10 minutes video. It's going to be called Take 10. So take 10 minutes, to look at your video once a week or whenever, like you want. But I'll let, like Kelly introduce himself. So Kelly.
Thank you. So Kelly, well known as Kelly the Coach, I started my business in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, back in 1987. I actually started with a workshop I wrote called Starting a Successful Business, and I traveled all across Canada to eventually 153 different cities, teaching people how to start businesses for a living. That's what I did. And then I was doing management training, and then I received a call from the University College of the Fraser Valley in British Columbia, and they asked me if I could do what I did for the automotive industry, and that was about 1992. And I'll date myself even further. I don't even know if I'm older than Frank, but I was a service advisor in Calgary in 1978, 79, and 80. And then I got into the oil industry, which was a hit and miss thing, as you probably know. And so now exclusively what I do is automotive management training. I've trained all across Canada. Some of you may know the article that I wrote for Canadian Technician Management, or sorry, magazine. I guess I wrote for them for about 8 years. We don't edit these videos. We're just going to let it go. If you've been to a live session, we all make mistakes. And then I really started working mainly in the US for some very large parts companies. And now I'm focusing on coaching. Training's great. I love training, but the problem I find with training is people come to it 1 or 3 or some of our classes for 5 days and they learn a whole bunch of things. So there's like breadth and depth when it comes to training. Breadth is when you get into a whole bunch of different subjects. So let's say selling diagnostic labor and then telephone skills, etc. Or you can go into depth in one subject, such as like selling diagnostic labor. That's a 3-hour deal in and of itself. So in a 5-day, you're doing both. You're talking about several different things over, and going into depth in each of those. Sometimes one topic might be, like I said, 3 hours. The problem is you go back to your shop and you're going to change the world. You got all these great ideas. And then you take your binder and you put it down because you've been gone for a while and now you have to put out the fires. And next thing you know, you get so busy you don't end up doing the things that you wanted to do. Whereas with management groups, I like those too. That's better because you've got other shops that are encouraging you and kind of correcting you. I think groups are kind of like 3 pats on the back, kick to the groin, 2 pats on the back, kick to the groin. People talk about what you're doing well and what you're not. If all people say is great things and nice things, then you don't really grow. But if there are any negative things, then you're not encouraged. And so it's really about both of those. Then management groups are great. But I have learned in the last 3 years, because of COVID mainly, is that there's nothing better than one-on-one coaching, to focus just on one shop. And I do coaching where I've got financial statements, very detailed. A little later on in one of our Take 10s, I'll briefly look at financial management. And so, and then Frank contacted me again in December and said, can we start to do this series? And I said, certainly. So that's me, and that's what I do. And again, I live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Back to you, Frank.
Perfect. Thank you, Kelly. And by the way, in 78, I was pretty young, just so you know. So to start off, not like this series of
I'm just going to
short
say this
video,
because,
Kelly.
people call me the
Yeah.
entertainer, but I was talking to somebody the other day, one of my tenants actually, and I asked him something about 1992. And I knew he wasn't born then. That's what I said. How old were you in 92? He said, my mother wasn't born yet. I just turned 60. So, but I got a full head of hair and I don't have to dye it. So I'm okay. Okay. So go ahead,
That's
sir.
good. Yeah. So let's start, this series, Kelly. So to start off, with the short videos, what would be you say the most important overall big picture topic that would benefit not like our clients or colleagues?
Thank you for asking it that way. I do like to start with big picture things where you're looking at, again, this is more not into depth, but more of the breadth. And you'll notice in our top take 10 in the first few, it's more of the breadth. And then, then I go into depth in one topic. And we're going to be introducing these and sending them out to Frank's clients and colleagues. And it'll be one video a week, and some of those will include articles as well. And so let's start off with this big picture thing. I wrote this quite some time ago. Running a successful repair shop is really quite simple. All you need to do is to buy some parts and install them for more than what you paid for them, and that's all there is to it, really, is except for a few thousand details. And it's those thousands of details that get us bogged down. And so sometimes in the midst of all of this chaos, the average shop manager, just so you know, an owner manager, usually owner who's also the manager, sometimes is also the advisor, is interrupted approximately 232 times a day. And so you got your to-do list in the morning, the things you want to accomplish, and you're busy all day long. And we call it the tyranny of the urgent, where you end up doing urgent things, not the important things. And you look at your to-do list at the end of the day and nothing is ticked off except you. And I don't know what you do, but I think, okay, so I did sweep the floor. I'll write that down and cross that off because that's a good satisfaction. And I did do this, but then you look at the things that you didn't get done that day. So what I want to do on the onset of this, and this one's longer than 10 minutes because we've got the introduction, and some of these will just be me doing them, and some will be Frank interviewing me as well. So let's talk about some of those few thousand details. And what I want to do is I want to look at the simplicity of 5 skills. You need 5 skills to run a successful repair shop. Number one of those is industry specific skills. And Frank, you mentioned that you used to be a technician. And a lot of people,
Yeah.
I'd say the vast majority in my classes, when I'll ask how many of you started off in the industry as a technician, and that's the vast majority. Like you see that too, Frank? Like what percentage of the people
Yeah,
that
that's it. Probably 80% of the shop, like started as a technician and they end up, like owning their own job, their own business.
You just reminded me of something I'm going to cover in the top 10, and that's called the evolution of the shop owner. There's just so many topics, right? Anyway, industry specific skills is really important. Your ability to diagnose and repair today's vehicles. Now, one of the things that I've seen happen is because you've got all of these other things, especially if you don't have an advisor. So you wear all of these hats. You are the owner, you're the manager, the advisor, you're the HR person, you're the marketing person, you're the accounting person, financial management person. And the next thing you know, you spend less time working on vehicles and you don't have time to do this. And then your skills start to go down because, I mean, how many changes does a car manufacturer make on one model between years? So you have to be able to make sure that you stay sharp in the industry specific skills. And what I'd like you to do as we go through these is just to rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. How would you rank your ability to diagnose and repair today's cars? How current are you with that? Part of the problem is sometimes people spend so much time in the bay, they don't have the chance to work up front. And I'll cover that in the 5 steps video that I'm going to do. The second thing that you need to do is day-to-day management, and the ability to hire the right people is part of it, but then you need to make sure that you're making sure that you're productive and efficient and proficient there. I'll cover that in one specific topic on the 3 things that you need to track when it comes to your technician's time. But the day-to-day management, all of those things, and that's why sometimes the tyranny of the urgent happens and you're interrupted 232 times a day. Then how do you manage this thing when you've got so many things coming at you? How many phone calls do you get in a day? How many times does a customer want to talk to you specifically? I'm sure you experience that, Frank. You hire an advisor, but they don't want to talk to the advisor. They want to talk to you, and now you're interrupted. And I'll talk about that in another session as well. Again, the problem with this, for me, the challenge is I can go into the depth of each of these, but we're looking at breadth. And then the third is the financial management, the ability to understand the big financial picture of the business. And I would say, without exaggeration, the vast majority shop owners, because they're so busy doing the industry specific skills, don't take the time to work on the financial management stuff. And that is in and of itself, we'll be doing a whole series of 10 take 10 videos on financial management and benchmarks. It's really what I call GPS. GPS in your car. You know, the first thing it does is let you know where you are. Frank, you travel the same routes every day. You don't
Huh,
have to have GPS tell you
yeah.
where you are. But when I'm traveling in the US and I'm in, Chicago, and I don't even know where I am, so you need to know you are here. It's kind of like when you go to a big mall and you see the store you want to get to, but you don't know where you are. And so you look on the map for what you are here. And once you know where you're at, then you can see where you want to go and how to get there. But until you know where you're at financially or whatever, you can't really get to where you need to be. So GPS tells you where you're at in business. You need to know that. And a lot of people just don't have the time to look at the financial management because they're so busy with the other two things on the screen. And then the second thing you need to know is where do you want to go? And a lot of people don't know what should my sales be per month? What should my gross profit percentage be on parts and labor and all of those things? And then the third thing is how to get there. And so financial management to me is finding out where you're at, and we have tools for that. Secondly, is where should you be? And I'll show you some things. I had a fellow, and people think I'm making this stuff up, just in November of this past year, 2022, he did $58,000 in sales. That's parts, labor, everything per technician. That's unheard of. It's amazing. And then the fourth is marketing and advertising. And of all the teaching I do, the hardest workshop to get people at is this one, and the next one I'll show you, because a lot of people don't think they need to learn how to advertise. I don't need to go to that class. I don't advertise. Well, maybe you don't advertise, but you market every single day. Marketing is not just advertising. I think advertising is only about 15% of marketing. Marketing is your company name, your slogan, your mission statement, your comeback policy, your labor rates, your hours, your location. It's all of these things. And especially today with marketing, with so much social media. Like I remember teaching people back in the 80s how to market it. It was your logo, of course, and how to create a flyer and a newspaper ad and radio. That stuff's gone by the wayside. A yellow page advertising, and now it's all
Hmm.
online, social media, and all that. And so it's changed drastically. And here's what I find, and again, I'm probably going to get into too much detail here, but I find that people say, well, I don't want to pay some company to do, search engine optimization. I don't want to pay somebody to do that marketing on Facebook or whatever. I can do that myself. And true, maybe you can do it yourself, but will you? Because it's just one of the thousands of details that you need to look after. I would rather pay somebody to do something to get it done, and then I could focus on the other things that I do. I've had people say, marketing people, they're like, $80 an hour or whatever. Yeah. And what's your time worth? And you're going to try to focus on something
Yeah.
that you're not really good at. Marketing and advertising are challenging. And then the last one is leadership and team building, the ability to hire the right people and to keep the right people. I've seen some people who go through, employees like in the US W-2s or T4 slips in Canada, and their turnover is over 100% a year. They bring somebody in, they get rid of them, or bring somebody in, get rid of them. And then there's other people who never got rid of anybody. They just never fired anybody.
Yeah.
And I'll say, how many of you have people that work for you that shouldn't be working for you? Oh yeah, yeah, I've got a few of those, because you didn't know how to train them or keep them or whatever. And then it's about your leadership skills as well. So to run a successful repair shop, you need industry specific skills. I find most of people in the industry, like, Frank, are really good at that. They know how to fix cars. And then there's the day-to-day management. So I will not be teaching industry specific skills. You are not going to learn from me how to fix a car. Although I did put a battery in my car not that long ago. That was pretty cool. Day-to-day management, I will be teaching in the sessions. The 10 minutes will focus on how to better manage the business on a day-to-day basis. And then the financial management, and again, the marketing and advertising leadership. I have done this, and I don't exaggerate. I have trained in all 50 states, all across Canada. I started 35 years ago, whatever, 36 now. And I've done this exercise with tens of thousands of shop managers, owners and employees. And I've asked these questions, and I can assure you that the biggest strength, like if you went through these and scaled them on a 1 to 10, a lot of people will rank themselves really high on industry specific skills because that's what they've done. They've fixed cars their whole life,
Hmm.
and they start a business and they get into that. But sorry, I just lost my train of thought there. And then as day-to-day management, some shoppers are pretty good at that. I'd say the majority. The two biggest weaknesses, the two biggest challenges for small shops is financial management, not understanding the numbers, and marketing and advertising, not understanding that. And leadership is usually, fairly high up there with industry specific skills. So in reality, financial management and marketing are the two biggest challenges. Most people rank themselves lowest on that. And yet, when you look at the dealership environment, the mass dealerships where, one person or a group will own 10, 15, 20 dealerships in a city or whatever location, when you look at the strengths of dealerships, what are they usually? It's financial management, it's financial management and marketing. Those are the things that are taken care of by, the people in the ivory tower. And so if we can take the industry specific skills that we have, the ability to do what we do, and most people deal with you because they know you, like you, and trust you, you know what you're doing. But to focus on the areas of weakness, to focus on the financial management, marketing, and advertising. So just so you know, the next in this series of the next ones will be 10 minutes, is the whole area of marketing. And I want to take a look at the 5 skills of marketing. And I just wrote down that message about the 5 steps. In fact, is I may do the 5 steps before we do the marketing. So I talk a lot. Frank, go ahead.
That's okay. So basically our next topic is going to be on focusing on the 4 most effective marketing.
Correct.
Point. Is that what okay,
Yep.
Perfect. Good. And how can if my customer wants to reach you, Kelly, how can they reach you if they want to have some more information, or if they want to have personal or group coaching like you do?
That's a
Part
good
of a
question.
group.
Thank you. It's Kelly. So just Kelly the Coach. You see it on your screen there. So it's Kelly at kellythecoach.com. So again, Kelly at kellythecoach.com. And I'll get back to your emails. When I wrote my articles, I always ended it with I'm only an email away. And so you want to email me and I'll get back to you. Okay. Frank, thank you.
Perfect.
It's just I'm looking at
our
different lifestyles. You're in a car, you travel a lot. I don't. I'm in an office. And by the way, the reason I have this dive tower behind me is because I started diving at 60. I thought I should do something, and I'm now diving off. I have to do this correctly, off the 5-meter tower. First time I did, it's pretty freaky. But you'll hear me oftentimes in a session say, "Okay, let's dive in," and that's just kind of a take on diving curve. Okay, well, thank you very much, sir.
Perfect. Thank you, Kelly,
Until
for your
next
time.
time.
Talk to you
Take
soon.
care.
Bye.